Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Begin with the name of Allah, Al-Jami and Al-Ghani. Let's pray before starting this chapter. Rabbi Shahri Sadri, yes, Rabbi Shahri Sadri, Sadri, Amri, Rabbi Zidni Ilma. The name of this chapter is Productivity, Output, and Employment. Uh, we have discussed in chapter 2 the measurement of several economic variables. Understanding how the economy works requires a shift from economic measurement uh, to economic analysis. We begin this chapter with two main goals. First is to analyze the factors that affect the longer term performance of the economy, which includes the rate of economic growth, productivity, living standards. The second goal is to develop a theoretical model of macroeconomics that you can use to analyze the economic issues. Uh, let's start. Uh, the question arises, how much does the economy produce? For this, um, it depends on the quantity of inputs. What determines the quantity of goods and services that an economy can produce? A key factor is the quantity of inputs. Normally, we take capital, goods, labor, raw material, land, and energy. These are considered as a factor of production. All else being equal, the greater the quantities of factors of production used, the more goods and services are produced. Let's discuss the learning objectives of this chapter. First, we will discuss the production function. Then we will discuss the factor affecting the demand for labor. Then we will describe the factors that affect the supply of labor. Then we will discuss what are the factors that can affect labor market and its equilibrium. And then we will explain how the unemployment rate is measured, and we will describe how changes in employment status. So, the various factory production, the two most important factors are capital, like machines, factories, etc., and labor. The quantities of capital and labor used in production don't completely determine the amount of output produced. It depends how equally determine the amount of output can be produced with these factors. The effectiveness with which capital and labor are used may be summarized by the relationship called production function. Production function is a mathematical expression relating the amount of output produced to quantity of capital and labor utilized. Why a conventional way to write the production function is as y is the real output produced in a given period of time. A is a number measuring overall productivity. K is the capital stock or quantity of capital stock. N is the number of workers employed in the period. F is a function relating output to capital and labor. According to this equation, the amount of output that an economy can produce during any given period of time depends on the size of capital stock and labor or number of workers. The symbol A in this equation multiplies the functional is a measure of the overall effectiveness with which capital and labor are used. We refer A as total factor productivity or simple productivity. Before going to the next topic, we have to study the case study. We have to read the case study of production function of US economy, which is in your book. Let me discuss the important components of this case. You will get this case study in book, or I'll post it on LMS. The production function of US economy and US productivity. This production equation is a specific example of general production in equation 3.1, which we already discussed, in which we said the general function f, k, and n equals to k power 0.9 and power 0.7. I assume that you know the properties of exponent. Uh, let's start with this example. Column 1 and 2 and 3 shows output. 1, 2, 3 output, capital stock, labor stock of each year. Real GDP and capital stock are measured in billions of 1992 dollar, and labor is measured in a million of employed workers. Column 4 shows the US employee economy's productivity for each year. Output, capital, and labor are measured directly, but there is no way to measure productivity directly. So we have to do a little calculation to determine productivity. For this, we have to use the same equation which is given above. Y is equal to A, K is to power 0.9, N is to power 0.7. For this, we will make another equation. I'm going to write it. Writing it over here. Y is equals to A 7. If you want to find out the value of A, you have to replace these values on this side. So Y divided by K gives you value of productivity. Let's substitute some values. In 2010, let's take 2010 as a calculate A, right? We substitute the value of Y, which is 13 13,063 divided by A, which is equal to 14,769 over 0.3, multiply by 139.1 power 0.7 calculate it. Right, I hope you remember the board mass rule. With the help of this, you will get 23.17. Please do calculate it to confirm the value. Right, and to know that you are doing right or not. Calculating productivity in this way ensure that the production function relationship is satisfied exactly for each year. You can see the productivity growth. The growth can be found here if you use this formula. I'm writing the formula over here. New minus old divided by old. Just to check the value, you can see that you can write 18.74 minus 18.29 divided by 18.29. Definitely gives you the value 2.5. Right? Productivity growth can vary sharply from year to year. Most strikingly, productivity declined in 2008 and 2009, which were deep recession years, though then significantly rise in 2010. A period of economic recovery. Productivity normally falls in recession and rise in recovery. But explanation for its behavior over the business cycle are controversial. We will return this issue in later chapter of this book. Secondly, productivity growth goes through a period of several years, then it's rapid, and other periods in which it grows more slowly.